So you think that the world as you experience it corresponds to the world as it really is. That is not the case. In this 10-minute presentation, I will show that the world as you experience it is a creation of your brain. There is a world outside, but it is completely different from the world that you perceive. You will never experience what that world is really like. You live an illusion. In fact, you are an illusion. Get ready for a journey to what is real behind the illusion. You can experience the world because of electromagnetic radiation. Most of it we cannot see, but a small part is translated into the perception of colors. Thus, electromagnetic radiation of a small wavelength generates the perception blue, and a large wavelength generates the perception red. However, in the real world there are no colors. There is only colorless radiation that is converted in our brain into the experience of colors. In the real world there is nothing that is green, yellow or red. There is only radiation of different wavelengths. How does the real world look like? Can you get an impression of that? Actually, that is not possible, because the real world has no colors and colorlessness cannot be experienced. However, an approximation can be experienced when it is dark during the night. You are in your room. The colors have disappeared. Shapes are less sharp. It is as if you are surrounded by an energy field, and you are. In fact, that's what's really going on. What you experience in the dark is closer to what the real world is like than what you perceive during the day. Is it possible to gain more insight into how that energy field is structured? The energy field consists of molecules that are held together by electromagnetic radiation. These molecules are made up of atoms. The atoms are composed of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons and neutrons are made up of up quarks and down quarks. This means that at the smallest level we have up quarks, down quarks, and electrons. Everything that exists is made of only these three building blocks. There is something strange about those electrons, up quarks, and down quarks. They are not real particles, but so-called point particles. This means that they have mass, but no size. Particles that have no size. That sounds weird, but that's how reality works. They are therefore not real particles, but ripples on an all-embracing quantum field. At the smallest level, there is nothing that is solid. There are only point particles held together by the forces of nature. It is a field of pure energy. If that is the case, if there is nothing solid in this world, then why are we unable to walk through a wall? The reason for us not being able to walk through a wall is that the part of the energy field that corresponds to the wall collides with the part of the energy field that corresponds to our body. It is not a collision between two massive objects, but a collision between two parts of the all-embracing energy field. The repulsion between those parts we experience as resistance. The idea that the world consists of massive objects is incorrect, but how about other experiences? If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? The answer is no. If a tree falls, then the fall causes the air to vibrate. These vibrations are captured by the ears. The brain then creates the experience of sound. The experience of sound exists in the brain only. In the real world, there are simply vibrations. How about smells? Is there something in the real world that smells in a certain way? Again, the answer is no. In the real world, there are molecules only. Some of these molecules activate receptors in the nose. If these receptors are activated, this generates brain activity. The brain then generates the experience of certain scents. There are no smells in the real world. There are only molecules that activate receptors that enable the brain to create the experience of smells. The same applies to taste. There is nothing in the world that is sweet or bitter by itself. There are only molecules that activate receptors that send signals to the brain which causes the experience of sweet or bitter. Why is this? In nature, it is all about survival. To survive, it is necessary to distinguish between fruits that are ripe and fruits that are not. Ripe fruits release molecules that provide the experience of sweetness. Unripe or poisonous fruits release molecules that create the experience of bitterness. That's why most people prefer the taste of sweet over bitter. This means that the world as you experience it exists in your head only. There is a real world, which is a colorless energy field. If we would experience the world like this, we could not possibly survive in it. That is the reason why the brain creates a colorful world, full of sounds, tastes, and smells. We will never experience the world as it is. We can only experience the virtual world that is made by the brain. All humans experience a collective hallucination that we have for evolutionary reasons. It enables us to navigate through the all-embracing energy field. How about the most intimate thing we have, our own self, the sense of I? There is a feeling that somewhere behind the forehead an I person exists. However, if you would open the skull, you won't find an I anywhere. You will only find brain cells called neurons that communicate through electrochemical interaction and thus create the sense of I. It is true that there is an organism, but the sense of I, the sense of self, is a creation of the brain. Why is the brain doing this? The model that the brain makes of the environment has to include the position of the I in that environment. Compare this with a "you are here" arrow in a navigation system. To be able to survive, the organism should know where it is located in relation to its environment. The only thing you feel and experience is that model. Compare this with a game. The avatar is just as much a part of the game as the game environment. The organism must be able to experience how it functions itself. You experience a series of emotions that indicate how things are for you. The I feeling functions as a kind of thermostat that indicates if things are going well for the organism. Negative emotions are signs that things are wrong. Perhaps you have damaged the body part, or you're having problems in your relationship with the environment. If you feel fine, then things are going well. You experience feelings, but in essence, these feelings are created by electrochemical signals. Everything that happens, including the decisions that you make, are part of chains of cause and effect. You have no idea about the content of those chains. Therefore, it seems like you're making decisions as a result of free will. However, there are always causes, most of them unknown to you, that led you into making a decision. Given your insights and the state of the universe, at a certain moment, a decision could not have been different from what it has been. At that moment, given the causes, it was the only possible decision. You are a temporary expression of the universe. Everything you do and experience is a result of how the universe works. It is impossible for you to separate yourself from oneness. That is why it is called oneness and not two-ness. Actions are done, however, not by the me, but by the universe. You are a flute through which the universe plays its tune. You are everything and nothing at the same time.